Hey there, my name is Przemek and this is a retro review of a Necrophorus album called Drifting in Motion. It's one of the albums of my life. For many years, if someone would ask me what's my favorite dark ambient album ever, I'd answer it's The Empty Hollow Unfolds by Raison d'Être. But recently I was thinking about it and realized that I didn't listen to The Empty Hollow Unfolds even once in the last couple of years. And this one, I have it within the reach of my hand all the time. I listen to it on a regular basis, even though I know it almost by heart. Of course, as many of you know, Necrophorus is Peter Anderson's side project, the Raison d'Être Peter Anderson, not the Deutsche Nepal one, also known as Lina Baby Doll, but Deutsche Nepal, I think we'll discuss it some other time. The Raison d'Être Peter is a very creative person. Apart from Raison d'Être and Necrophorus, he has several other projects like Atomin Electrin, Panzer, Swasti Ayanam, Cataclysm, and few others. In each he produces different kinds of ambient or experimental music, and Necrophorus is probably the most organic of all, and maybe the most approachable one for the listeners outside the underground electronics circles. Well, okay, apart from maybe Atomin Electrin, in which he explores classic melodic electronics inspired by Berlin School. According to Discogs, this is the third full release by Necrophorus. The first one was called Sadness and Somnolence, the second Underneath the Spirit of Tranquility, and the first edition of Drifting in Motion was released in the year 2000 by Crowd Control Activities. Unfortunately, I don't have that edition. Back then I had it, let's just say, from a different source. But in 2008 there was a re-release, a Redux version, which means that the tracks were re-recorded and remixed. Drifting in Motion was Peter's attempt in so-called glacial ambient, which is one of my favorite forms of ambient music. This form is characterized by a minimal, often isolationist soundscapes, subtle melodies and field recordings, and the feeling of emptiness and tranquility. Sometimes it may be lighter, like the classic Biosphere Substrata album, sometimes darker, like some Thomas Körner works, and a few fragments of Deep Freeze by Sleep Research Facility. But in general, vast white landscapes, the absence of human presence, calm and soothing atmosphere. It's a simplified description, as the particular albums within this ambient subgenre may differ one from another. If you want to see what this is all about, check Substrata by Biosphere, Nuke by Thomas Körner, and then take the catalog of Glacial Movements Records label, and listen to, say, 5 random albums, and then you should be able to figure if this is the music for you or not. Yet I think that Drifting in Motion, if considered as a glacial ambient album, is not a typical representative of this form of ambient music. I mean, it's pretty well rich in terms of sounds and melodies. The songs have clear forms and structures. Of course, we need to remember that it's still ambient. And if you follow Peter Anderson works, but listen to Drifting in Motion for the first time, I think you should guess that it is his album. Those synth melodies may indeed remind of those more melancholic fragments of Raison d'Être and I'd even say that there are two tracks which are kind of counterpart of to the Empty Hollow Unfolds compositions. I mean, the second one, Ice Shifting, and the second one from this one, which was Hidden Hollows. Both begin with quite dark, soulless and shapeless forms, which turn into beautiful, mournful melodies. And also Frost from this one, and The Wasteland from this one, and both those tracks combine the solemn quasi-choral soundscapes with that rumbling of metal sheets or ice floats. Maybe it's just my impression, but on the other hand, both I think albums were created in more or less the same period of time, so maybe the creative processes of both were passing one through another. It doesn't matter, as both are kind of milestones for me as a dark ambient fan. A digression, despite the objectively cold and arctic atmosphere of the album, strengthened by all these sounds of ice shifting, water dripping, distant howls, etc., I have a completely different images in my head while listening to it. I remember during my first listens of Drifting in Motion many years ago, I was reading classic sci-fi novel Hot House by Brian Aldiss from 1962. I think I should have it, the Polish edition here somewhere. This one in Polish is Cieplarnia. Let me read the plot introduction from Wikipedia. Set in a far future, the Earth has locked rotation with the Sun, and it's attached to the now more distant Moon, which resides at the Trojan point, with cobwebs spun by enormous spider-like plants. The Sun has swollen to fill half the sky, and with the increased light and heat, the plants are engaged in a constant frenzy of growth and decay, like a tropical forest enhanced thousandfold. The plants, many now omnivores, have filled all the ecological niches on the land and in the air, many evolving primitive nervous systems and, in some cases, eyes. Of the animals in the forest, only the descendants of 4 species of social insects remain: tigerflies, evolved from wasps, tree bees, plant ants, and termites from termites, along with the small groups of humans, a fifth of the size they are now. All other land and air animals have been driven to extinction by the vegetable kingdom, apart from a few shore dwellers. The humans live on the edge of extinction within the canopy layer of a giant banyan tree that covers the continent on the day side of the earth. And yes, this is what I see when I listen to Drifting in Motion. Paradoxically, the motionless tropical world, million years from now, empty, where the civilization and the rule of mankind are but a vague memory. I know the concept is totally different, but that vision of mine fits so well, you know. This edition is enriched by 2 compilation tracks, Arcane Angelicum from Perception Multiplicity Unified, which I have here, and the Untitled track from the Untitled compilation, which was a tribute to Zdzisław Beksiński. Plus there is also one unreleased track, After the Silence, minimal but beautiful. I would add also if I would be the editor of this album, I would add also one more compilation, The Source of Underwater Bleakness from this compilation, The Last Bleak Days, as it fits perfectly to the atmosphere of the album. But this track was already included on the following Necrophorus album called Elinros, the one I can't get to like it even if I tried so many times. But this one, Drifting in Motion, is a true classic, my personal classic, and a piece of my history as an ambient listener. And I recommend it from all my heart. Okay, that would be it. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.